Morning, John.
Good morning.
Hey, morning, John. Morning, Rochelle.
Morning, Fred.
Morning.
Good morning.
Gordon's having a problem connecting.
You pour some in there as well, Steve.
That's what I was.
Yeah. I got a French press over the holidays, and I'm trying to dial in exactly how much coffee I should be using.
Oh, jeez.
Because I'm making it pretty, like you can almost walk on it right now. So
I'll have some of that.
Yeah. Morning, Don.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. Good. And Gord, you made it.
Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year.
Hello.
Morning, Don.
There he is.
Good morning, Gord.
So nice to see you all.
Nice to be seen.
Hello.
Hello.
Morning, Pauline.
Hey,
Hi,
Paul.
how are you?
Good.
Morning, Roy.
Good morning.
Does Doug have a gaming chair?
No, I do. Oh, maybe Don does too. I don't know.
I
No,
think you said dog.
no, I'm just on a bar stool.
Sorry, I didn't announce you appropriately. Past President Doug.
Oh, all right, just a minute. I'll show you my chair while we're going up here. Can you see that?
Is that for when you play Fortnite?
That's the racing chair.
The rotary racing chair, no?
There it is.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to get one from the current president, but he's still sitting in it. I wanted to buy his wooden chair.
You really don't. It's not that comfy.
Maybe we'll have to swap one of these days.
There you go.
Once my bilateral arthritis kicks in.
See, this is a problem with it. If you can hear it, it really creaks.
Are you sure?
Well, it seems to be the only time that I creak. So.
Hey,
At your age, it could be your back.
hello, Linda Mays.
Morning. It's everyone.
Morning.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, everyone.
New Year.
Happy New Year, Linda.
Steve,
Yep.
how do we pay our happy bucks?
Well, you drop a check or an envelope of cash off to me, and I get it to Kevin.
Okay. All right.
That's our only method right now. You can pay online too, but
Okay. Okay. All right. Do you keep a running tab?
nope. Anything that's passed, I just pass straight over to Kevin and put it in the general account.
Okay.
Morning.
Morning, Joe.
Hey, Joe.
Morning,
Hey,
Joe.
Rachel.
Hi, Rachel.
Hello, Rachel and Dennis.
Dennis.
Rachel.
Hey, Dennis, Rachel.
Morning.
Morning, Dennis.
Michelle, just so you know, we normally get started about 7:33 or so. We let some stragglers join before we kick things off.
This is a quiet group. This is
Everyone's contemplating the potential of a coup d'etat down in the States.
Yeah. My prediction was when he was bringing in all those people in the Pentagon, all his own people, he was getting set for, once all this other stuff failed, a military, some sort of military thing.
Yeah, regardless of who he puts in, I can't see any of the generals going through with it.
No.
Joe, I had you pegged as a Trump fan. Did I read you wrong?
Oh yeah. That's the other Joe Solway, the guy. This reminds me of when I used to ride the 507 GO train into Toronto every morning. This is what it was like. Like,
is everyone too tired to talk?
Yep, too tired.
I never saw you on the 507.
Were you on the 507?
Generally that one or one earlier.
There you no, there wasn't one earlier. You
Then there you go, to be that one.
We were on different trains.
Generally into work by 7.
Yeah. I had to be there by 6:30.
Well, there was a Timothy's donut shop, tea shop.
Yeah.
Just on University, just a little bit south of Dundas.
Okay, that's where you worked.
Donut shop.
No. University in Dundas.
Yeah, he was at Tea Granny.
St. Patrick Street.
Yeah.
Just a couple of streets west. But that'd be the major intersection, yeah.
I was just like a 5-minute walk from Union Station, the CBC building.
Yeah, I went there for Sounds of the Seasons a couple of times.
Oh yeah, I worked on that from the beginning.
Wow.
Which is what inspired me to start our concert.
Yeah.
I basically stole the idea.
Well, this was back when Andy Berry was
That's right.
Doing the morning show, yeah.
Yeah, I go way back with Andy. Back to CFRB, I was his producer there, and then he went to CBC, and then I went there a few years later.
Oh, son of a gun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he has Parkinson's now. I'm not sure what's happened to him.
Oh dear.
Oh no.
I think that's why he retired.
Yeah, that is.
Actually, I think that's right. Yeah.
That is. He couldn't continue anymore. Incredible guy. Amazing.
One question for the group, if I might. At what point does it come inappropriate to add Baileys to your coffee?
Never.
It's never inappropriate.
Yeah, amongst this group, never. I think society in general, Mike, once we pass Epiphany, I think that's the rule. Okay.
That's before 8 o'clock.
I'm not much of a Catholic anymore, unless to invoke these types of rules.
Okay.
Putting Baileys in your coffee, you'll have an epiphany.
I'll have Baileys in my coffee with my fish and chips on Friday.
There you go. Yeah. Don't you eat fish and chips every day because of Kyle and Nat?
He dropped off some guy last night didn't pick up his order. A $70. He drops it off here. He says, "Here, I mean, it's just going to go to waste." He's allergic, of course.
Yeah.
So he can't eat it. So
you did the job. Good man.
Excellent.
Hi, Michelle.
Hello.
Joe, I'm working on the assumption that when the time comes, you're introducing Michelle.
Yes.
Is that right? Okay.
Yes, I am. I should have said that.
All right. Well, we may as well get things rolling. I'll let people in as they arrive. But Happy New Year, everyone! Welcome to the first Rotary meeting of 2021. Let's hope it's a heck of a lot better overall than 2020. With that, a toast to the Queen.
And to Canada.
Queen.
Canada.
Canada.
Rotary International.
Rotary International.
And let's kick it off with, we're in the lockdown. So to all the frontline workers, be they grocery store workers, nurses, or whomever. Okay. With that, over to Rachel for the invocation.
As the calendar year turns and another year begins, let us be thankful for our Rotary friends and the changes our service can bring. Let us rise to the challenges given. Let us aim to give more to the cause. Let us continue to make the world better, even if nobody gives us applause.
Excellent. Good. I really like it. It sounds even better when read, Rachel. Thank you. Birthdays and anniversaries. Pauline, do we have any?
Well, I hope not. I was sitting here and, you know, sometimes when you have that feeling, I've forgotten something, and I just jumped up and did a very, very quick check. And as I don't think there is any, but please correct me if I've missed someone.
Okay, no New Year's babies. All right. All right, well, we're moving right through things here. Joe, would you like to introduce our speaker, please?
It would be my pleasure. I first met this morning's speaker in the summer of 2018, a few months after I had joined the club. It was when Toronto hosted the Rotary International Convention, and our club also hosted a barbecue at Stippy's estate. For a new Rotarian, it was an amazing experience because at our table, there were people from all over the world, Africa, Asia, Europe, other parts of Canada. And across from me were two women from Ohio, Michelle Wilson and her daughter, Teresa. We started talking and I found out that Michelle was the president of a group called Rotary LGBT Fellowship, which I found really, really interesting. We talked for a while about that, and I thought she would be a great speaker for our club. But of course, back then, all our speakers had to be live in person, and that, of course, is no longer the case. And through the magic of Zoom, we can have speakers from wherever they are. So Michelle is a member of the Athens Sunrise Rotary Club in Athens, Ohio. That's about 60 miles southeast of Columbus. Welcome, Michelle, and thanks for speaking with us this morning.
Good morning. I really appreciate you inviting me. I consider myself an honorary member of your club. I remember the initiation. That was such a fun event. You know, I still have the little gifts you gave, and I didn't make it back to the place where they're at to bring them this morning, but I wanted to because I still have the Canada hat and the puck and all those things. It was great memories being there. So I really appreciate you inviting me, but I appreciate that event. It was actually the only event like that I've ever attended with Rotary, and it was fantastic. So, okay, so I have a presentation that just kind of talks about what the fellowship is, and I'm going to do that briefly, and then answer questions if that's okay. First of all, is anybody here in the Rotary LGBT Fellowship, or does anybody know anything about it?
No.
Okay. No. So I'm going to share the screen. It looks like I'm going to have to refresh the page because it has gone away. Are you able to see my blank screen so far?
It just says you've started sharing.
Okay.
There we go.
Well, if I can present, that would make it a lot better.
Yeah. Loading up.
So I have to say, my Rotary Club also meets in the morning, and I've been skipping lately because this is just really early for me. So, okay, here we go. Rotary Fellowship. If you see this little heart down here, this is our logo. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. So I'll introduce myself. Joe knows me, but for those who don't, I am a socially responsible financial advisor in Southeast Ohio. I live in a cabin in the woods. I grew up in South Korea, and I chose to settle here primarily because the woods are similar, the weather patterns are similar. It actually very much reminds me of where I grew up. So I feel very embraced by the nature here is the only way I know how to describe it. So that's how I ended up in Southeast Ohio. My chosen labels are pansexual, polyamorous. I'm female identified cisgender woman, and I use the pronouns she and her. And I'm a founding member and current president of the LGBT Fellowship. So in this presentation, we're going to talk about what the fellowship is, how we got started, where we're headed, how you can get involved. And I'll talk a little bit about, how I feel like Rotary feels about this type of a group, which part of our founding, there were some things that happened that kind of gives me an indication about how I feel Rotary feels about us. So first we'll talk about who we are. The purpose of the Rotary LGBT Fellowship shall be to promote global friendships, service, and education with the goal of ending discrimination against LGBT+ people and realizing a world that achieves fundamental fairness and equality for all. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with fellowships and what they are, but I'll talk about that in a minute. But this is the purpose of our fellowship. We are the LGBTRAF Fellowship, and that means that that stands for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, Rotarians, and friends. So it's quite open. It's not just for gay people in Rotary. It's anybody who is an active Rotarian, partners, family members, Rotaractors, anybody who is affiliated with Rotary can be part of the LGBT Fellowship. And not just people who are LGBT, but also allies. So anyone who knows or is friends with or who thinks it's awesome for people to have whatever sexuality they want can be a member of the fellowship. And we really want to have allies in the group. We don't want to be just a group of people that are like this corner that nobody else talks to. I don't know how else to say that. But we want to have a very representative group. It helps us put out better, more balanced material. It helps us reach our purpose better if we have a representative group in the fellowship. So like I said, I'm not sure who here is a member of any fellowship. I'm trying to open the window up so I can see. Is anybody a member of a fellowship? You can unmute yourself.
No.
Okay. So a fellowship is basically a group of Rotarians that have something in common. There are all kinds of fellowships. There are fellowships that are Gin Drinkers Fellowship. There's a fellowship for people who like to ride motorcycles. There's all kinds of fellowships. Basically, it's just a group of people who have something in common. There are also things called Rotary action groups. And action groups are more about collaborating with clubs on service projects. We chose to start a fellowship with the LGBT Fellowship because we felt like if we tried to start an action group that Rotary might not be excited about us being an action group. While there are a lot of things around LGBT issues that could have service projects, we definitely don't want this to appear to be any type of a political group. So basically what we do is we, like I said, with our purpose, we work to provide education resources. We have happy hours to build friendships, and we're working together with clubs on service projects with the goal of ending discrimination and realizing a world that achieves fundamental fairness and equality for all. So we're very careful to avoid anything that appears political. So I did want to mention that. I know some people think of anything that has LGBT as being a political group, and we are not. So our fellowship is quite new. We started my first Rotary convention was in Atlanta in 2017. And I was pretty new to Rotary at the time. It was not too far from my house, so I went down there. And that's when I found fellowships. When you go to a convention, they have the House of Friendship, and there's all these little booths. And there were all these fellowships, and I thought, oh, good, I'll find, you know, this huge organization. I'll find LGBT people here. And I looked and looked, and there were no LGBT people. There was no representation of LGBT people at Rotary, which really struck me as odd, because obviously we have LGBT people in Rotary, so why didn't they have a group? We have groups for everything else. So there was a workshop at this convention called We Welcome Everyone. And I didn't know at the time, but it was only the second time that there had been a workshop like that at a convention. But I went to that workshop, and there were people from all over. It was standing room only. There was lines out the door. And I got up at the end of the workshop and I said, you know, I'm confused on an organization this size that there's a whiskey drinkers fellowship and a wine drinkers fellowship and a cigar smokers fellowship and all these fellowships. There's a fellowship for anything you can imagine. And there's not an LGBT fellowship. I don't understand. So it has to be one of two reasons that I could think of at the time. I said it either is because Rotary doesn't want there to be a fellowship like this. They don't want LGBT people to say, hey, we're here. Or it's just because nobody started one. And so, you know, if it's an issue of Rotary doesn't want us here, I can't, as an ethical person, be in Rotary. I would have to leave Rotary. But if it's because no one started one, let's start one. So I had a standing ovation. I walked out with a stack of business cards this big, and that was the beginning of starting our fellowship. So basically, we had tons of people who wanted to be involved. So we talked to some of the existing fellowships to find out what was required. We had to have representatives from multiple countries. We had to have some bylaws written, and they had to be very specific on what the bylaws would say. There was a process for approval, and if we got turned down for approval, we would have to wait 3 years to start again. The Rotary International staff was extremely helpful and encouraging, and so we got all that together and submitted it. We started out with 66 charter members representing 5 countries, and all of these people were at that initial, well, I shouldn't say all of them, I believe most of them were at that initial meeting in Atlanta. And we submitted an application to get started. It was really kind of terrifying during that time because we didn't know for sure what was going to happen. And what did happen actually is that we were denied, which you might say, how is that possible? You have a group. So naturally we had people saying, you know, we're going to go to Oprah. We're going to tell everybody that we got denied. And I said, no, we need to figure out like what happened. So we contacted Rotary and said, you know, we put in an application. We worked with other fellowships. We worked with staff. We had something that should have been approved. We're trying to understand what happened. And when Rotary International realized that they had denied the first LGBT fellowship that Rotary's ever tried to have, it was like they put the brakes on and said, wait, we're going to look into this. We're going to try to figure out what happened. So they, basically what they realized is that the way that they were approving fellowships was not standard, just depended on what board it was in front of. And their reason for turning us down was they said we were not appropriate for being a fellowship or something like that. And Rotary said, well, how is this not appropriate? So basically they called some meetings, they changed some rules, and they approved our fellowship, which is completely outside of the norm for the way that's done. Normally you have to wait 3 years. And that really makes me feel like that Rotary wanted us to be here, they wanted a representation of LGBT people in Rotary. I think it's really important, not just that there's a visible presence for the LGBT people in Rotary, but in order to attract young people, in order to go into the future, for Rotary to say we are inclusive, I think is very important. And I think that's why that happened. So this is Rotary International's diversity statement. As a global network that strives to build a world where people unite and take action to create lasting change, Rotary values diversity and celebrates the contributions of people of all backgrounds, regardless of their age, ethnicity, race, color, abilities, religion, socioeconomic status, culture, sex, sexual orientation, and gender identity. Rotary will cultivate a diverse, equitable, and inclusive culture in which people from underrepresented groups have greater opportunities to participate as members and leaders. So I pulled this straight off the Rotary International page. And some of you may know Rotary just rolled out a EI committee that's doing work, not just with LGBT people, but in order to grow diversity in Rotary and to make more of a visible face for Rotary. So another talk that I do sometimes is about how to make your club more diverse. And one of the things that I suggest for clubs is not just to do diverse things, which I know Joe talked about how you guys sponsored the Rainbow Crosswalk and things like that, but also to make sure it's visible, have a rainbow on your Facebook page and on your web page, and just make it visible and obvious that not only do we do things to encourage diversity, but we're making it visible so that when somebody from one of those groups looks at your site, they know this is someplace I can go and be myself and be welcome. So I just wanted to throw that in real quick. So where our group is headed, and this information's a little bit old. I put this together last year, but last year we had 216 members from 25 countries, and we have not advertised at all. We have been growing pretty amazingly lately, but I'm not sure of the actual count. Our membership numbers, the way we're counting them is changing. We just started charging dues, and I'll get to that in a minute. So I don't know exactly what the number is now because we're changing how we're doing it. Our board is more representative. We started out with a 4-person board, but now we have 11 people on our board representing 7 countries. It makes timing for meetings very, very challenging. We have board members who are getting up at 5 in the morning to go to meetings, and some at 11 at night. But we're doing our best to have a representative board, because what we found is, there's things that we think, okay, even the idea of using the letters LGBT. When in my area we use LGBTQIA. Well, you can't do that in other countries. Different countries have different things that are normal. I think in India it's LGI or something like that. So we decided LGBT is something people search online, and that's how we ended up with that. But every decision that we make, trying to be representative of our global community, is important, because we can be offensive to people and not even realize it. So what we've done since we started, and by the way, Toronto was our first year. We got approved at the Toronto convention. So I was very excited when I went to your meeting, because I just found that out. So we've expanded the board. We've created a framework to run the organization and started creating dues, or started charging dues this year. We have updated our marketing and website and began committees. And this is my new pen we just got, and I have not opened it yet, so you guys get to watch me open our new pen. It's from Australia, where our president-elect is. And these are our new Rotary pens. You see that? Isn't that nice? So, what were you saying?
Just very nice.
Yeah, so we just got these. It's actually a little bit bigger than I thought it was, but it's a nice way to, once again, just put, the fact that we are open visibly on. So these are our committees that we have. We have an education committee that creates resources like this presentation. We have a service committee that works with, to partner with clubs. We have not done a lot of work in that committee yet. The friendship committee promotes when clubs do something like a pride, we promote that. We organize for the RI convention and we do online happy hours right now. We have a marketing committee that works on our pins and things. That committee has pretty much done everything it needs to do. We have our website built, and we're working on a certification program for clubs. We worked with a Rotaract group on that, and something that clubs can say, these are the things we are doing. We are certified as a welcoming club, and I expect that'll probably roll out in the next few years. So we're just getting started. I feel like there's so many places that we can go from here. I encourage you to check out our website. Privacy is an issue in our group because some countries it's dangerous to be out. So right now we have a private Facebook group. So it's a little bit cumbersome. You join up, you look up LGBT Rotary on Facebook, you join us, you fill out the form that says join us, and then send us a message and you have to add us, and then we put you in the private group. It's a little bit cumbersome to join. So we were able to do the 216 members with this joining process. We are in the process of putting together another framework that's outside of Facebook. So I would say by the end of this year for sure, we will have everybody transitioned over to that, and our private Facebook group will go away. But right now, we're still using a private Facebook group to provide privacy for people. But I encourage you to join the fellowship, and like I said, you can look up rotarylgbt.org, or you can look us up on Facebook, and both of those places have a join us link. So, and we have an Instagram page too. So that's it. I'd like to open up for any questions.
Well, Michelle, that was excellent. Thank you. I'm as surprised as you were that in 2017 you were the first to bring this up. I'm glad you did. I got a quick question for you here. I think you touched on it, but help me out here because it's early in the morning. What's the difference between the fellowship and a Rotary Action Group, and why did you choose the fellowship over creating an action group?
Well, I'll just remind you that when we started, we weren't sure why there wasn't a group already.
Okay.
So we were a little bit concerned that maybe there was some internal bias in Rotary International, and maybe they didn't want a group like this. They didn't want to appear political or whatever the reasons were. And we felt like the likelihood that action group would be approved was much lower than a fellowship, because a fellowship is just a group of Rotarians that have something in common. Whereas an action group, you're going out and doing projects. And we felt like that an action group would be viewed as political. So I am hoping that at some point we do have an action group, but at this point in time, the fellowship is just where we started.
Gotcha. Before I pass it off to the next person, if you could, through Joe or directly to me, send us information on, what the process is to become, I think you said certified. That'd be lovely. We'd love to look at that.
Well, and we are not actually doing that yet.
Okay.
That's a process that will roll out in the next few years under the next president.
Okay.
So I'm the president until June of this year. We have 2-year presidential terms, and Grant was working more with the Rotaract Oceania group, I believe. So they've been putting together a framework and doing quizzes and things like that. So it'll come out, but it's not going to come out under me. So.
Okay. Well, I've hogged the floor enough. Do we have other questions? Joe.
Yeah, and me, of course, always. First of all, there's somebody who's got a phone on, and I think if whoever's got the phone, If you could mute, because the
Oh,
driving sound's coming through. Thank you. Yeah, Michelle, I'm just wondering how, when you give a presentation like this, you know, how open are people in the clubs that you talk to? You know, we tend to be, I don't know, kind of older Rotarians. You know, there may be a natural resistance or whatever from people who, you know, have done things a certain way, you know, all their lives. And, you know, I include myself in that. What kind of, how open are people to hearing what you have to say? And do any of them feel threatened?
I think that, I mean, I would say that people are not as vocal when they're not open, but I just kind of get silence. I think people don't understand the importance of a group like this, of having visibility. You know, I have friends who are not part of Rotary because they don't think Rotary is welcoming. I have, I know somebody who is in the closet in Rotary. They're not in the closet in their personal life, but they don't feel like they can be themselves at their club. And I think that's sad. I think Rotary needs to be a place where people can be themselves. And so I think this groups like this are extremely important. So more than people openly being, you know, giving pushback, the only open pushback I've seen is I've heard people ask questions about what happens when some people don't believe that it's okay to be gay in our club. And the truth is, people can believe whatever they want to believe. And I mean, and that's fine. But as a group, we need to be able to welcome everyone. We can welcome the people who don't think it's okay to be gay, and we can welcome the gay people, and we should all be able to coexist and have conversations. And part of growth and learning is to have groups of different kinds of people together where we can talk. And it's a lot harder to not accept people, and when you know people personally who are different from you and who think differently than you do. My parents, I don't know if you saw early on in the slides, are evangelical Pentecostals. And, you know, I just saw them on a vacation. I just spent a whole week, and we're able to sit and talk and get along, even though we're very different. And I'm able to understand their viewpoint, and they're able to understand my viewpoint. And I think that it's so important that we have friendships across belief systems, so that everybody can grow and everybody can learn. And so I feel like having groups like this and being welcoming as a group helps us not only to attract more new members, but to have those hard conversations in our groups. The other, I guess I did hear some other pushback about transgender people in bathrooms. And I feel like sometimes there's just an education component that has to happen around things like that. Because if you have a transgender person in your club, they need to be able to use the bathroom that makes sense to them. And that was a little off-putting to some other people. And I also think people don't realize how dangerous it is in some countries still. And the fact that we can be part of the solution rather than the problem, I think is helpful. I don't know if I answered the question well or not.
You did.
Yeah.
Pauline, I see a question. And then Dennis.
Pauline, you're on mute.
You're muted, Pauline. There you go.
Okay. Okay, everybody, I know I'm muted. Hi, Michelle. How much of a commitment is it to be part of your fellowship? What do you do once you're part of the fellowship? Do you have regular meetings? Is it, you know, how do you keep yourself together?
It is as much of a commitment as you want it to be. There are many people who are just part of the fellowship and that's it. They join the fellowship, they buy a pen, they're in our, you know, they comment on Facebook if something happens in their area, and that's about it. And then there are people who are very engaged, who are part of committees, who are helping things happen and helping, like I said, there's the certification process we're working on. We're wanting to partner with clubs for service projects and things like that. So there's work there's work that's being done. The education committee, I would say, is the busiest right now. But it's however much you want to be engaged is how engaged you are.
Okay.
Which causes some problems because there's some committees that are not as busy because we don't have people to run them. So yeah, we're still pretty new, so there's absolutely room for opportunity for people to get it very involved and get things done.
Good.
Excellent. Dennis.
Good presentation, Michelle. Two points. One for your comment, and the other is a reminder of persecution in this day and age. The first I'd like your thoughts on is a good friend of mine, also a client of our firm, likes to consider herself gay as opposed to being classified as lesbian. In her mind, gay is gay, whether you're male, female, and so on. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that one of the things that's a good idea for clubs to do is actually have a presentation on LGBT 101. Somebody come in and do a presentation like that, because language is changing so rapidly and what people use. And it's different for different areas. So you would want somebody from your area to teach that, to teach the LGBT 101. But I think it's fine. I think that, like I said, in my area, LGBTQIA is what's used. And that's because a lot of people go by queer. Queer is a reclaimed word in this area.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's important to use the words that people want to have used to describe themselves. And it's perfectly okay to ask the question, how would you like us to refer to you? And that's why at the beginning, I mentioned that I am a cisgender female and use the pronouns she and her. It doesn't seem like that would be necessary for me to say, but it is because there are people who don't necessarily use the pronouns that match the way that they look. And it's important to welcome them to be able to say, and I use these pronouns.
Right. The second point, I'm not sure if you're familiar with, there's an organization, a registered charity actually, based out of Toronto, that is called the Rainbow Railroad. And the purpose of the charity is to raise money to help persecuted gay people be able to literally leave and escape from regimes that are less than favorable to them, which is sad to say that it exists. Evidently, it costs about $10,000 to get a person out of an African country, Eastern European, certain Asian countries. So you may want to look it up on the internet, but it's the Rainbow Railroad, which is quite interesting. If you take a look at it, again, one of our clients brought it to our attention. So thank you.
Excellent. Yeah, that's excellent to know. I mean, we have, I did a breakout session last year at the convention online, and there was somebody who talked about how they could be killed in their country, and it's just terrifying. And then I had somebody who, they couldn't log into our things, they can't join our fellowship, but they stay in touch with somebody who is a member of our fellowship to find out how it's going, to find out what's happening with Rotary and the LGBT group. Because in their country, it's illegal. They could be persecuted, but they're very excited about the group being there. So I feel like we have further reach than we even realize around things like that. And but I'll look that up. That would be great to get involved with it. And I could think of, I mean, I wonder if an action group could maybe do something like that in the future. I don't know. That would probably be viewed as political. So,
Wayne, I see a question from you.
Yeah, I would just like to say, Michelle, I want to personally thank you for your presentation, because I think it has presented an opportunity for this club to attract more members into the club. And the other thing I want to thank you for, I know that when you asked whether we had a fellowship group in the club, I do think you have helped us identify what our fellowship group is. And I thank you for that.
Thank you, Wayne.
I was hoping somebody would ask what that fellowship group is. I guess not.
What is that fellowship, Wayne?
What is that
drinking group? The drinking group.
Oh, the drinking group.
After last week's get together, I would have to say that was the.
That's good, Wayne.
Yeah.
Well, with that, Michelle, thank you so much for your time today. We'll tell you that that I plan on joining a little over a year ago today. My son let us know that he was bisexual, and it was taken about as good as you can expect. We gave him a hug. It was the middle of the night. Told him we love him, and we went back to bed because it really wasn't a huge event for us. He's still Billy, right? So I hope that everyone has that easy a time when they get that news or when they come to the realization themselves. And I look forward to joining your group. And with that, have a fantastic day. Michelle, you're welcome to stay on the line and participate in our meeting or get on to your busy day.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Cheers.
Oh, great.
Bye,
everybody. Okay, on to Happy Bucks.
I have
a happy buck. There you go, Linda.
I have a $10 happy buck to say a big shout out to Steve Burnett, who came to my aid when I discovered a flat tire on the driveway on last week sometime. Steve, within 10 minutes, was over with his compressor, put enough air in the tire to allow me to get to Canadian Tire. So thank you, Steve. Good guy.
Well done, Steve, and I'm glad you're okay, Linda. Lyle.
Good stuff.
Lyle, yours.
Okay. It's sort of a sad buck, I guess, in a way. On New Year's Day, Tom Simons, who was the founding president of Trent University, passed away. And I mean, this is one truly remarkable man. If you take some time to go onto the Trent website, there's a memorial to him. On Saturday, a friend of mine sent out an email, and we had a Zoom meeting at 6 o'clock on Sunday and drank a number of toasts and shared a number of stories about Tom. But just an incredible man. His accomplishments were just phenomenal.
Well, thank you. That's sad news, Lyle, but thank you. Dennis, I think your hand was the next I saw.
Yeah, I have, I'm going to match the $10. I have a grateful for our EMS people in an interesting situation. My nephew, Michael Penny's a police.
Dennis, we're losing your audio.
Okay.
You're good now.
Okay. My nephew, who is a police officer in Peterborough, is currently a detective with major crime. So normally he's not on the road on patrol, but he had a chance to, they were short one shift the day after Christmas. And he volunteered to go out on patrol. During the shift, they had to arrest an individual, and there was a bit of resistance. But the end result was he couldn't join us or think of joining us for New Year's because the person, when they're arrested, are tested immediately for COVID. So now he's waiting for results that if that particular individual was exposed to COVID, he'll have to be on lockdown. So a lot of our EMS people, whether they're the police, nursing, doctors, are under a tremendous amount of stress. And as you said at the beginning, Steve, we should be very grateful for what they do for us.
Absolutely. Thank you for that, Dennis. Okay. I don't see any other hands up. So let's move on to Ellie with the committee report.
Okay. I'm the director of the International Committee, and our committee members are Linda and Chuck, Mike, Doug, and Wayne. We have a pretty good committee, and we have a lot of fun when we do get together. Our annual budget that we were given was $19,000. And recently we, at a board meeting, we discussed the fact that we didn't have the president discretionary fund this year. So we returned 500 of that. And a couple of other committees have done so as well. So at least the president now has some money to use at his discretion. What we spent out of that 18,500, we gave Steve Rutledge with his Laos project, $6,000. Everybody knows all about that, so I don't need to discuss that. The Beirut pediatric equipment that Steve talked about, I think it was the end of November, he joined us. We gave them 1,330. They were looking for 1,000 US, so when we converted it, it was 1,330. There was another group out of Port Hope or Coburg, Horizons of Friends. Now, they are a group that support different projects around the world. And what they reached out to us to ask for was to help them with a project in Chiapas, Mexico. The area itself is almost at the Guatemala border and extremely poor. They live in poverty. The people, mostly due to the COVID problem, pandemic, whatever we want to call it, they are very strapped for food because they are, basically they are the country, Mexico's most impoverished state. And because they are small and they are poor, the Mexican government does not support them. So they, I should preface that by saying that the larger farming communities, the Mexican government does give them support, whether it be for chemicals or to fertilizers, things like that. So this friendship, they asked us to help contribute so that they can help with clean water and nutrition, seeds and whatnot, so they could actually grow and try and learn how to grow things in the desert. So we give them $100. The project itself really intrigued me. And personally, I think I'll be giving them more money myself because it seems to be a very worthy cause. Then our next one, Fred Mandrake brought us, was 2 girls in the Dominican who are the children of, cool. In the Dominican, the school systems all shut down in April of last year. Now they have no intentions of reopening for a while. So these 2 girls are going to lose their entire year for education. So the Antonio, he put his 2 girls in private school, which is open. Public schools are not, private is. And the cost turned out to be $1,000 for Canadian. Put the girls through so that they could continue their education. So that was $1,000 that we did give to them. So total, we have spent $9,350 with a balance of $9,670. Mike DeRoche and Doug Sears have reached out to, Mike's reached out to a club in Mexico that he's affiliated with. And Doug is affiliated with, through his mother, a missionary area in Madagascar. So we're looking at potentially helping out students or young mothers who need help. The details will be to follow, but this is 2 of the projects that we want to look at. And one or both could be something like Steve Rutledge's, where we continue going forward every year to help out. But that is where we are. We are having our next meeting this Thursday night. We had been doing it on Wednesdays, but because of Wednesday, Doug Sears wasn't able to join, so I've moved it to Thursdays. So stay tuned. We'll have more information as we go forward.
Thank you, Ellie.
Report. Any questions?
All right. Thank you, Ellie. That was excellent. Good work. Steve Code, Sergeant at Arms.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
I just wanted to mention that I had the great pleasure. I don't know if Michelle's still on the line, but I want her to keep up the great work. We met as we picked them up at the GO Station downtown and got them to the fun event at Jason's place. So I don't know if she's still on the line, but she is doing a great job. And she was pretty excited about getting this thing rolling. Anyways, moving on to Sergeant of Arms. Obviously, everybody has their PIN. Everybody does service above self. I thought in line with the international update, I'd ask a few questions around history and most of them internationally. So just jump out, throw out an answer. I'd like everybody to donate or throw in a toonie this week, and I'll match that toonie. So whatever shows up, I don't know how many are on the call. I would expect everybody to throw in a toonie, and I'll match that.
We have 23.
So now we got $46. And this one should be for Lyle, but I want Lyle to kind of wait and see if we get an answer from somebody else. But when was William Shakespeare born? You can give me
1563.
Just a year. Anybody other than Lyle, because Lyle wasn't right. He was real close by about a year. Go one side or the other.
1676.
1564 on April 23rd.
So I was off by a year.
Well, I finally stumped you.
Thou were wrong, Lyle.
For the first time in my life. Way to go, Lyle. When did Margaret Thatcher become Prime Minister of the UK? What year?
1979.
Right on, 1979. Way to go, Lloyd. When did the Cold War end? I was shocked when I read this because, you know, wars are so distant for me, but they're so present. Anybody know?
Never end.
1985.
A little later than that.
89.
1991.
Oh.
Wow.
89 is when the Berlin Wall or the wall was taken down.
Yeah.
I just remember that part, but I was shocked that it was 1991, shortly after. One more question. Just because of the euro and the, when was the euro introduced as legal currency on the world market? I'll give you a hint. It's a January 1st in the 90s.
92.
January 1st, 1998.
1991.
Oh, geez.
Wow.
And that's all I had, a little bit of history and a little bit of international history. So
speaking of the Berlin Wall, Steve, there's a piece of the Berlin Wall at the bottom of one of the arches at the skating rink of Nathan Phillips Square.
Oh, is that right? I didn't know that.
Or the reflecting pool at Nathan Phillips Square, yes.
Wow, that's cool.
There's it's about 2 feet by 3 feet in size.
I'll have to note that.
On the south side.
There's a piece of the Berlin Wall in my parents' basement. It's only about that big though, and it's in a little canvas bag. My sister brought it home. So
a little piece of history.
Here you go.
I used to sit at Nathan Phillips Square every day, have my lunch for years, and I don't remember seeing that. That's how observant I was.
Is it clearly marked?
And I was just going to say,
yes, it is.
Berlin
It's
about
on
a week after it went down.
About the middle arch on the south side.
And I sat there on the benches many, many times. Wow.
Very cool.
Fantastic. Well, Don Gleed, I think you're on the hook to do a committee report for us. True.
And I hope I have this right, but Joe said to me, let us know what you guys have you've been doing for COVID relief in the community. But back when the first lockdown came, Toyota Canada came up with an initiative to encourage dealers to get involved in the community, and they would match them dollar to dollar up to $5,000 of their dollars. So you could contribute $10,000 in total. anyway, we'd already sort of jumped on it a little bit. We had a chance to order some PPE equipment through one of our suppliers, and we're able to get some masks ordered early, and we got some shields ordered through actually Jason Stippout got those handled and got them ordered through him, and some hand sanitizer. We circulated that to the BOAA, community care, the Bowmanville Hospital and Bethesda House. So that's one of the first things we did. Then we were able to purchase a sanitization spray machine that we use in the dealership every day, first thing in the morning, and somebody goes around and sprays down all the touch points in the dealership. And so we bought one of those and donated it to the BOAA as well. And then we were also able to give a donation to Feed the Need in Durham, and which we were very, very happy to be able to do. In addition, my son Matthew and a dealer from Godrich worked in hand-to-hand with Toyota Canada to come up with a program called Cars for Good. And the idea behind that is to encourage dealers to put a vehicle in service with a staff member to help out in the community for driving and whatnot. And so we were able to, you may have seen it, a little like a RAV4 running around. It said Cars for Good on the side of it. And so we were able to use that. And when the BOA was shut down, they couldn't have drivers in their vehicles. So we had a vehicle on the road that we would take people to medical appointments or social appointments or cancer treatments downtown and that kind of thing. The program lapsed in when the lockdown sort of eased up. It's scheduled to relaunch again in January, so we'll be involved in that again. But Toyota Canada, I guess, across the country, give over $1 million of their money into the program. So the dealers in Canada put up about $1 million, and Toyota Canada put up about $1 million. Also, they used $1 million worth of their advertising funds for the Canadian Blood Services to promote blood donations, because that's obviously a big problem right now, shortage of blood. So those are just some of the things that our company and Toyota Canada has done. I hope that's what you wanted, Joe, but that just gives you a little idea. And you know, so many companies are involved, and I think that it's going to get a little bit worse before it gets better, I'm sure. And so hopefully that the company will come up with some additional initiatives, which I think they're working on now.
Just an excellent update. Thank you, Don.
Okay.
Well done. Okay, off to announcements. We got, behind me here, we got our medallion, our service medallion from Aaron along with a certificate. So we'll find somewhere to display that once we have a place to be. I wanted to let you know we got it. I have a question for everyone here, and I'll put it out in an email too. Is anyone, it's tied into our guest, is anyone currently a member of a Rotary Action Group? No? Okay, interesting. Next, I saved this, yep, Fred?
What's the water group called, the action group? I'm a member of that.
You're a member of that, okay.
Right.
Water, Sanitation, and Hygiene Action Group.
Right.
Yeah, exactly, about 8 years now.
Oh, great, okay. That's one. And that, I think that allows us to meet our goal for the year. So that's perfect. I had a design on that question. I saved this announcement because I wanted Dennis to be on the call. I made a few announcements about generous donations that have been made to the club. Dennis and his wife Karen have also made a generous donation towards the club as 2020 came to a close. I just wanted to say thank you to you, Dennis, and Karen for your generosity. Well done. And finally, I had a fun moment yesterday at 11 o'clock through Dave's best friend, Dave Sullivan's best friend down in Prince Edward Island. I was invited to speak to the Rotary Club of Charlottetown about what we'd been doing here to get through COVID. And it was really interesting. A great meeting. There were 20 or so people on the line. I gave a talk about everything we'd done from helping out at Bethesda House and our grocery shopping to the concert to Feed the Need and everything else. And I think it was pretty well received. They thought we were pretty busy, but the good news was that they've been doing a lot of the same things as we have. So we're on the right track. Interesting thing is Bowmanville is the same size as Charlottetown. I looked up the population before we got on there. They're about 36,000. Bowmanville's about 37 or 38,000. So strange. Those are the only announcements I had. Ellie, you've got your hand up, and then Rachel.
Yes, actually, it's more of a request. The grocery program, I need a shopper for tomorrow. The lady that we're going to have to shop for, she's recovering from a broken back due to a fall.
Wow.
So whoever I can get will have to carry the groceries in, and if we could put the items that go into the fridge and freezer away for her. The other items she can wait till a neighbor, if she can get a neighbor to come and help her, but I need one more shopper for tomorrow.
I can do that, Ellie.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. I'll put you down and send you the list. You're a sweetheart.
Ellie, just so you know, Angie Darlison reached out yesterday.
I saw you.
Yeah, asking if we're still doing this. And I said, yeah, we're not promoting on Facebook because we don't know how much capacity we really have, but please let your members know that we're available if the need is there, okay?
I'm struggling a little bit to get shoppers. I know the last 2 weeks have been very difficult due to people being away and just not wanting to be bothered, which I didn't even want to answer the phone, but I did.
Okay.
So I get it.
Perfect. Well, listen, if we hit that maximum, let me know, and it's okay. You know, we can only do what we can do. Rachel.
I just am looking online. Those, if anybody's interested in one of those LGBT fellowship lapel pins, the ones that Michelle showed us, I don't know if you can see it, you can't see it, but the heart, they're $5 and I'm going to order myself one. So if anybody, just send me a message if you want one, and I'd rather order 10 or 5, or if anybody else wants one, let me know. They're $5.
Excellent. John.
Yeah, just a quickie. We're not doing a bottle drive this time, but Oshawa, the two Oshawa clubs on January 30th, they are doing a bottle drive. So try and help them out if you can.
Is that the postponed date? Because Dave Andrews announced that it was postponed.
It was going to be the 8th, I believe,
okay.
Steve. It's now the 30th.
Okay.
10 a.m. till 4 at, near where the old Sears store was at the mall.
Excellent. All right. With that, over to Keith with the quote of the week.
Hello. Good morning, everybody.
Morning, Keith.
What the new year brings to you will depend a great deal on what you bring to the new year. Vern McClellan.
Nice. Short and sweet. I like it, Keith. Thank you very much. Okay, everyone. If there's nothing else for the good of Rotary, remember in the things we say and do are four-way test. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? And will it be beneficial to all concerned? With that, have a fantastic day, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Absolutely.
Bye.
Bye.